Hey y'all, I'm Brooke Hoover, a Louisiana native, actor, writer, and comedian. I've lost 100 pounds through diet and exercise, or shall I say, lifestyle changes. My 20-year and counting health journey has taught me that just like taking a diet pill for weight loss, body positivity doesn't magically happen overnight. I'm working on regaining my self-esteem and rekindling my love affair with Cajun and Southern comfort food in a healthier way, all the while juggling eating as clean as I can, reestablishing myself in the entertainment industry, which, as we know, is historically fat-phobic, all the while showing my inner fat girl some love. That's fat with a PH. Pretty hot and tempting. Let me tell y'all a tale or two. What's up, everybody? It is officially summertime when I am recording this, and it is officially getting hot up in this booth. Remember that sketch with Anna Gasteyer and Will Ferrell? That just become all country. Will Ferrell back in the 90s, and they're like, hot mic. I feel like I'm like, hot booth. So I'm sweating to the oldies in here. So the podcasts of the summer might be a little bit shorter than the podcasts of the winter. We will see. But today we are not talking about heat. We're not talking about SNL sketches of the 90s, though those arguably were my favorite, aside from SNL sketches of the 80s and SNL sketches of the 70s. We're talking about supplements. I am a recovering supplement junkie. We might think, because of the weight loss situation, that various weight loss supplements, such as, remember Garcinia Cambogia? What was that called? Garcinia Cambogia and things like that. All the weight loss supplements were things that I tried. Nope. I never drank that Kool-Aid, never tasted that powder, never snorted that stuff. My first foray into supplements, I guess my mom had it laying around the house, was St. John's wort in high school. Because I heard that it was nature's Prozac, and I knew that Prozac made you feel happy, and I was feeling a little unhappy, so I took St. John's wort, and it made me bouncy and racy and crazier than I was. I mean, I've gotten much more grounded since then, but I was already kind of bouncing off the walls and cuckoo, as my dad would have said. He would say cuckoo. So St. John's wort made me a nutcase. That was my first supplement. So I stopped after about a week or two. And then, what I did supplements for, I didn't do supplements for a while. I did prescription medication, as I've talked about in past episodes, for polycystic ovarian syndrome. And when the prescription medication started to but completely work against me. I mean, a birth control pill made me faint while walking out of the subway in Brooklyn one day. I said, peace out, enough's enough with this. And I started taking two supplements that are very good for polycystic ovarian syndrome. That was Vitex and evening primrose oil. And then I thought, I didn't just think, but I noticed that my thyroid has always been borderline low. So, hypothyroidism, right? So I was seeing an acupuncturist. My acupuncturist at the time said, how about you try this thyroid supplement? And I felt better. It helped with anxiety and also that tiredness. Like, that's like the thing with PCOS and with thyroid for me, is like, I feel tired, but I also feel anxiety and depression at the same time. But this thyroid supplement had ashwagandha in it, which is supposed to be wonderful for stress. It's supposed to be wonderful for most people. A lot of people have asked me about supplements because they know I've tried every single one just about. Ashwagandha, not good for me for facial hair growth. I noticed that it was making the facial hair growth even worse. And the vanity, I guess, supersedes the benefits that actually work, that made me feel better. Something that's actually supposed to be good for the facial hair growth and females, unwanted facial hair growth, and female identifying friends who want to get rid of, those hairs, is spearmint, the supplement of spearmint. But I also then read spearmint, when taken in a prolonged way, is not good for the kidneys. So I started also facing something back in shortly before the old pandemic screwed up everything. Um, in 2019, I noticed that I had this constant need to urinate, constant need to urinate. And it turns out, yes, I had about like 4 kidney stones moving around and things like that. And it was also I can't really quite pronounce it. Interstitial cystitis. Basically, the frequency of urination is a beast. So worked on the pelvic floor, stopped the spearmint. So it's funny because it's like a prescription medication will do the same thing. It will be good for something, but will give you a side effect. So will supplements, right? So just to kind of reiterate, ashwagandha, good for the mood, bad for the facial hair growth. Spearmint, good for the facial hair growth, bad for the kidneys when you take it too long. Oi. So the pandemic hits and I'm not going anywhere. None of us are going anywhere. And I say, I need to really up focusing on immunity and health. And I'm always going to be around the bathroom, which was around the time my IC, my cystitis was really bothering me. I said, you know what? I'm going to do a wash. I'm going to do a cleanse of supplements. So I stopped taking every single kind of supplement that I was taking. I've tried at least probably 30 to 40 different supplements in my lifetime. We'll keep going over those because I'll tell you what worked and didn't work for me. And hopefully that can help you. I'll be your guinea pig for supplements. So when I did the cleanse supplements, miraculously, my cystitis got a lot better. Like I stopped having the need to constantly urinate all the time. During the height of the pandemic, we would sometimes like to just take a drive and be out in nature. And I'd have to travel with, ironically, a big old tub that used to contain protein powder or supplements because I'd have to sometimes pee in that big old tub like 4 or 5 times while we were out, and we didn't want to use bathrooms because everybody, we were all terrified of getting COVID. So I just got pee on my hands a lot while driving around New York and New Jersey to look in nature. Yes. So other supplements I have tried that are supposed to be wonderful that did not work for me, or at least worked for a little while, but caused more side effects than good. Maca, M-A-C-A, that is a powder. I believe it's been around. The ancient Mayans had discovered it. It's good for hormone regulation, PMS periods, all that jazz. But it gave me what's called breakthrough bleeding. And I said, if this is happening, it can't be right for me. My acupuncturist, my current acupuncturist, because my former acupuncturist, we didn't leave on bad terms. I mean, like, you can never leave on bad terms with an acupuncturist, right? Like, it kind of be like leaving on bad terms with, like, I don't know, massage therapist or a chiropractor. It just kind of like doesn't sit right. Even like it feels weird, like leaving on bad terms with like a mental health therapist. I mean, that happens, as we know, but it just doesn't feel right. So my former acupuncturist left on good terms. He moved to Ithaca, like a good old acupuncturist. They all moved to Ithaca or somewhere else that's gorgeous. Those who know about the Ithaca is gorgeous with that pun will understand that bad joke. Needless to say, my current acupuncturist has me on several Chinese herbs, but it is a blend, and I take this Chai Hu Hai Su Gong Tang. I will be posting a picture on that on Instagram. So Aaron Kumpf Acupuncture and Herbs is always able to do supplement and herbal consultations via Zoom if you are not able to make it into their office in Jersey City. This really helps me for regulation of the PMS situation because I notice that ovulation for me is worse than my actual period because it's like I'm the calm before the storm. No, I'm just like the storm before the storm. So the herbs that I take from day 1 through day 15 really do help with that. Also, I noticed that I was taking a wonderful supplement for multivitamin. Who's on a multivitamin, say hey ho. But do we all really need the multivitamin is my question. Are you getting enough of most of all those goodnesses, what's the word, vitamins and minerals in your regular diet, perhaps. I was taking Rainbow Light, which is a brand that I recommend and loved. It was made with, vegetables, all natural, everything, but I was still peeing neon green. And I've heard that you basically pee out most of your vitamins or supplements that you take, hence why I stopped when I was having cystitis and peeing and kidney stone issues. Then I've stopped. So at this point, I've stopped all the supplements except for the Chinese herbs. And then I added back in magnesium at nighttime. 500 milligrams or less. Magnesium at nighttime, it's good for blood pressure, it's good for sleep, it's good for calming. In fact, I recommend to people to do magnesium at night instead of melatonin. Melatonin was a supplement I used to take all the time, every night. Makes me groggy. I say do not do melatonin unless you desperately have no other way to fall asleep. But there are many other things you could do to relax or for stress, such as valerian root, been on that, or kava. Again, in high dosages, you want to be careful with kava. Lemon balm is probably a safer bet for stress. So of those, magnesium every night, lemon balm as needed is what I recommend. Also, a supplement that I take now every day is vitamin D. I also take a probiotic, specifically a probiotic for the mood. It doesn't have additional supplements. A lot of times I'm noticing probiotics will have ashwagandha added, and we know how I feel, well, not how I feel, but how ashwagandha worked or didn't work for me. So I avoid a probiotic that has additional things in it. I like a probiotic where the specific strain is good for mood or is good for XYZ. There are different probiotics that are good for different things that are going on. I will specifically, perhaps in an Instagram clip, separately discuss this probiotic that I love. Again, they're not sponsoring this podcast. Nobody sponsors this podcast. If you know of anybody who wants to sponsor this podcast, tell them to give me a shout. Another supplement that I take a iron B complex. And all of these three things, the four things, if you will, magnesium, the vitamin D, the probiotic, that is recommended by my acupuncturist. And fish oil. Fish oil was recommended by my therapist, one of my therapists, who actually the therapist who ghosted me. Some very important information she gave me is take fish oil. And it has not affected my cholesterol. Sometimes I know if people are on a fish oil supplement, it can amp up their cholesterol. Knock on wood, this has not. It's helped my moods even out. I'm not perfect, but I definitely notice a big difference being on fish oil along with the probiotic for mood-wise specifically. Some other supplements I had taken that I no longer take for good reason or for a reason that I don't always take a supplement every single day. Like those ones I just mentioned are my daily ones, but when my back issues act up, or my piriformis issues act up, like I pulled my piriformis, something fierce when I was pulling a roll-on luggage when I went down to see my dad in Louisiana. Like, who does that aside from Brooke Hoover? So basically, I was taking a little cocktail that I had already taken before when I blew my back out a couple years ago. It's quercetin bromelain for inflammation. That's also great for immunity. So during the height of the pandemic, I was also popping that daily. Also, I take glucosamine chondroitin. You know what I mean? Glucosamine chondroitin, whatever that CHR word is. I should learn how to pronounce all this if I'm going to do a podcast about it. But the glucosamine, I take that for joint health. And I was also taking collagen very, very regimented regularly every day. Now I just take collagen a couple times like a week when I'm like, oh, I want some beauty health. I want to feel beautiful. And I was also taking turmeric for pain and inflammation. Though that's a little supplement cocktail I recommend if you're having any back issues. Here's the deal with turmeric though. I almost prefer to cook with it. I'm like a Cajun girl cooking with Indian spices. Go for it. Put it on fish. Put it on whatever you like. I really don't like that kind of powdery, yellowy. It's so messy. I think, again, it works best on fish. you want to make like a savory oatmeal or a savory Greek yogurt because you're crazy like that, go for it. But turmeric, I noticed, is very like powdery. So I almost felt like I would swallow the powder and then it would like come up through my nose. Like if you do a burp, I literally have burped, and turmeric powder or beetroot powder, we'll speak of that in a second, the supplement like powder came out my nose when I like swallowed and then burped it. That can't be good. So my blood pressure does run on the higher side of things. And I'm talking like in funny rhythm and rhyme sometimes today, because that's just how I feel when I hit the witching hour. Usually I record the podcast before noon, but I'm recording during the witching hour, which for me is 5:44 p.m. So for the for heart supplements, specifically for blood pressure, I took beetroot and berberine. Berberine. For some reason, every time I took the berberine every morning, I sang it to the late, great, beautiful, wonderful Amy Winehouse's song, Valerie. Why don't you come on over, help my heart, berberine, berberine. Thank y'all for letting me indulge. That might work for some. I didn't notice a difference in my blood pressure. Again, as we know, shout out to the reishi mushrooms from Catskill fungi for really helping me with the blood pressure, as well as Zumba. We'll get into Zumba at some point. So, wrapping up, this fat girl, does not take a multivitamin because I think you pee them out. And because I think and I feel that it was messing up my cystitis because it was making my urinary tract work too hard. So now just magnesium at night, and in the morning, vitamin D, probiotic, fish oil, and iron. And I also take a blend of Chinese herbs from days 1 through 15 of my period. I think the point is, y'all, this is the whole point, is don't rely on a supplement to fix everything. Just like don't rely on a prescription drug to fix everything. Lifestyle-wise, you have to also work on everything too, and you can't just assume that a supplement will be healthy just because it's natural. They do have their side effects, positive and negative as well. And you have to just really, really, really listen to your body. I didn't want to do prescription drugs, not because I was stubborn. Maybe a little bit because I'm stubborn. But it was mainly because of the side effects, or feeling like a prescription drug is just a Band-Aid. We're not getting to the root of the issue. But I realized for a while I was doing the same thing with supplements. Oh, something didn't feel right, let me reach for a supplement for it. Something didn't feel right, let me reach for a supplement for it. At this point, I feel like I'm really digging deep to analyze, not just like the exercise, but the type of exercise that I'm doing, what I'm telling myself mentally, what I'm feeding myself emotionally and literally, and what I'm telling myself while I'm feeding myself, balancing all that out, listening to my body. So that's what I encourage us to do. I'm happy. Y'all know, my friends know, I inherited this, I think, from my grandma, the late, great Leona Olivier, that I just love to talk about natural remedies for things. Momo was bigger on natural remedies. I'm a little bit bigger on supplements for things. But I do think too much of a good thing is a good thing. No, can be too much of a good thing, so we need to be careful with our supplements. I'm always happy to swap stories, tell tales about them. I mean, my dogs even take supplements. I'm noticing a big change with Annie. She had a hot spot, which is like that kind of bald, itchy area, that dogs can get, and she's taking a supplement for that. I'm using vitamin E directly on her. It's tremendously helping. So I really condone supplements. It's just like a big old puzzle to know what's right for you. So thank y'all so much for listening. Sometimes I get into this hot little booth, and I'm like, what am I doing? Am I helping people? My goal was to help people, give people humor. Am I providing that? And I saw a dear friend of mine at a film festival this past weekend, and she was like, oh my God, Brooke, I go out and walk my dog, and there you are. There's your podcast. You have a new episode out, and I listen, and I feel like I'm just gabbing with a friend, and that made me feel really good. So that's what keeps me keeping on. And again, I'll say it again. If y'all ever have any questions, want to tell tales, by all means, we know I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor. I don't play one yet on TV. Maybe I'm a doctor, like not a doctor. But I'm happy to tell tales about supplements and to give advice based on what I've experienced and what I know. Peace, love, and supplement regulation. I don't know what else to say. Bye. Thanks so much for listening, y'all. It is my hope to inspire, uplift, and entertain you with this Who's Dat Fat Girl podcast. So, if you're hungry for more, you can book me to speak or perform my solo show that inspired this podcast, Fat Girl Costumes, written by yours truly and directed by Brian Lady at your virtual or in-person event. Please visit brookehoover.com/fluffybuttproductions or email me at contactbrookhoover@gmail.com for more info. And let's follow each other on Instagram. I'm at Brooke Hoover, and the O's in my name are not the letter O, they're zeros. Not because I want to be a size 0, but because I guess I'm just so clever with my late 90s Yahoo self. And if you like this podcast, which I really hope you do, please give me a 5-star rating and write a review on Apple Podcasts. And most importantly, share this with your friends, family, and other people you may know who are as fat as we are. That's fat with a PH.